Welcome to The Grant, the EU funding podcast. My name is Niels Tudor Winter and I'm the creator, editor and host of The Grant. The Grant is an independent, non-commercial podcast initiative with the ambition to dig into all corners of the EU R&D funding system of topics of interest for the full EU R&D funding community. Recruiting consultants in the private grants consultancy sector is rough. EU R&D grants consultancy is a low-fee consulting area which affects the salaries you can pay and the conditions you can offer. On top of this, the work that it entails to be a grants consultant is rough and tough on work-life balance. That means you really have to stand out as a company if you want to attract the right people. Ayming is a French global human resource and finance consultancy company that is also involved in grants consultancy. I invited the H&R business partner Sara Arryn into the virtual podcast studio to a good talk about recruiting in this business. They, like everybody else within the sector, is twisting and turning to find a way to get the right people on board. So, it became a long talk that resulted in 2 episodes. In the first half, we are digging into the conditions of recruiting in the grants application business, and Sara shares core elements of Ayming's recruiting strategy and the perception of the grant business from her point of view as a human resource professional. Please enjoy. The Grant. Welcome to The Grant, the EU funding podcast. I am slowly rolling on with the Grant. As regulars know, I do try to keep my frequency of 1 episode per week. And I do try to keep my nose in the track with the timeline series. And it's coming along. I've reached the budget part. So it's slowly moving toward the submission. So that's nice. But as you also know, my dear listeners, I try to fill in or start to broaden out the universe in my podcast initiative with interviews with different sections and areas and issues to deal with, to debate in my guest interviews. I have different segments in there on my website. I have a consultants corner, I have a campus, that's the universities, and I have of course the timeline series itself. So I have a little handful of different areas that I'm slowly starting to put in content into. Now, it's not nice to talk about a person in third person or leave them wait when they're already in the room, even though it's virtual. So I'm gonna get very shortly gonna get to the guest, but I'm just gonna have the nice fly in here. So what happened this summer was that I had an opinionated double episode on the roughness of writing grants applications during summer, and it was emotional. Might not be the word, but it was there was a lot of strong opinions in that panel about the fact that it's a rough work to do. It was about the deadlines, but it slowly moves into also the talks that I have with consultants. There's always an element of talking about the roughness of the work as a consultant, because that's just the nature of this business. And how difficult, and with that, the next link, I will come to you, Sara, shortly. The next link is how that affects recruiting people, because if it's a rough work, it's also can also be rough to attract recruit consultants and employees for the work to do for the private companies. Now, we will have a lot of talk about this, so now it's already been all too long. Sara, welcome.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you for having you on board here, and I am sorry that it's late in the evening, but it suits at least me with my daytime job to sometimes have recordings in the evenings, and my Fridays are blocked. So I'm very happy that you could make it here at this fairly late hour for family, for parents like us.
Yeah, of course, no problem. With pleasure.
Sara, I've just said a lot in this intro, not much more than I normally do. So let's take it away. Present yourself, who you are, where you live, and where you work.
Okay, great. So first of all, my name is Sara Arryn. I am the HR business partner at Ayming Benelux currently. I live in Belgium, in Rotselaar to be more specific. But since the last 10 years, I am working in Brussels, which is quite nice and challenging, the center of Europe, let's say.
Yeah. And I always ask the guests in this short introduction to share the main capacities within this area of EU funding. So, are you a proposal writer? Are you a facilitator? Or what's your corner of uh, of of career choice, so to say? Where's your strength?
Within the company, of course, because I'm supporting, of course, the people that do the EU grants. We are writing the grants for our clients.
And you personally, you are in the HR department.
Yes.
Yeah. So you are a key hook, so to say, for the rest of the company in filling in those gaps that appears either if people leave or if you need to have new positions, open new positions, to make sure that that is the persons who know how to do this work. So, in other words, you know a lot about grants writing, even though you are not. Are you? Do you write proposals yourself?
No.
Be happy.
One day, maybe. But
Oh.
no. I don't today. I know what the skills they need, competencies, what is needed also. But I don't write them myself. No.
Good. I don't like very much the rap proposals myself, so I'm happy for you. All right. Before we move into the subject, and we will share with listeners what that would be in a second, because I already gave a short fly in, but we will carve that out a little bit more in a second. Could you I always give the guests an opportunity to share about the organization they work for, and I always say you can shamelessly self promote, because this is a non-commercial, independent podcast. Nobody's telling me what to do, and I'm asking guests to do something in their spare time out of what they normally do with their work. So you can take it away, Sarah. You can.
Okay. Shameless sell the company. Okay, great. So I will do that. So first of all, we're an international consulting company. We are in 15 different countries with around 1,300 employees. What is our core business? We really optimize all the costs for our clients. So we are doing business performance. We do this in HR, finance, and innovation. And recently we started a new department, grants, which is also finding grants on top of the business performance we already do for our clients.
Mhm.
So voilà.
I didn't know it was such a big company.
Yeah, it's quite big actually. The main office is in France.
Mhm.
We have 800 people there. Next to that, we have offices in Spain, Portugal, Poland, Germany, also in the US, UK. So it's quite broad. Yes.
Okay, interesting. And so the core business of the organization is not grants. If you look at the big organization from top.
No, indeed, it's business performance. So really
Okay.
optimizing the costs for our clients. Yes.
Okay, so it's a little bit in no comparison whatsoever, but in line with other large consultancy houses like KPMG and Deloitte that is doing tax consultancy and so on. And then they use some small, they make departments that deal with the grants because it helps facilitate clients on the core business. Is that it?
Yes and no. Yes, you can compare it with bigger consultant companies as the Big Four. Indeed, when you talk about business performance, of course, the scope is a bit different, and we have other advantages as being aiming, but or working with aiming, let's say.
Mm.
But grants, I must say that it's like really a separate department. So it's not something, because before it was something the consultants did themselves, and now we really invested in the last year in a brand new department with people really specialized also in grants. So it's not like an on top or on the side activity. It's really one of the focus areas also.
So, but I guess it's synergizing with the core activities, no?
Of course, yes, yes.
So that was my point, that because that's normally, if you move into such areas when you have such a large corporation, it's because you see that it makes sense, that you have clients where it makes sense also to consult on that, because it helps, for instance, tax deduction. Good example. In the Netherlands, you get tax deduction, for investing in innovation, and then it makes sense to go in and make applications for tax deduction, and then you suddenly move into what innovation in this. You can also do Horizon Europe and so on and so forth.
Yes.
Good, excellent. Anything else? Shameless self-promotion.
I think others are worse if I hear it like that. No. I think one of the biggest advantages of Ayming Benelux is for myself that we're part of this big international group, but on a local level, we still have this everybody knows everybody kind of feeling, since we're still quite small. So you can really feel that you're making an impact. So this is what I like personally at Ayming Belgium, but I think this is it for the shameless selling. Yes.
Okay. Let's thanks for this. Let's move on to the core theme of this episode. Recruitment. And recruiting in the grants consultancy business. Now, what I said in the fly-in to this episode, it's important, because the conditions of recruiting, it is the baseline for that condition that is set by the character of the work that is being done and the condition in the sector in general. That's where the talks went. That's based on the 4 or 5 years I myself have been spending in the private grants application sector, and the talks that I've been having with people in the sector about the conditions. And first, I will start off with my own perception about this. We will have a short fly-in on how this is the baseline for your work, so to say, and for Ayming's work to recruit, that all grants consultants are looking at. So the grants consultancy sector, it's not a consultancy business that is a high value fee market, so to say. It's a market where the clients are hesitating to pay high fees for the work that needs to be done to develop proposals. That's it's been a constant baseline for all the years I've been in the private research the private grants consultancy sector. How to make clients pay the fees needed that it costs to do the work. So it's not tax consultancy where they throw shitloads of money after you, or management consultancy where they set in a whole team and they pay you millions of euros to develop a strategy and so on. It's a totally different ball game here. It's squeezing out. There's the money out of them, and when you are working in that environment on the other side of the table, it becomes, it's extremely frustrating that clients, they don't see it as anything that's worth really paying. They don't see it as, perceive it as something that is, and I'm generalizing now, right? But they don't perceive it as something that it should be enough with a success fee, or why do you take money for this? We're not even sure we get the funding. What's your success? 30%? How would I pay 30% if you cannot secure me the money? It's these discussions you have a lot. You also have clients that understand. It's not, but it's not like a place where it's easy to get a lot of high fees. So what happens is in the sector is that you find you shortcut on the work. You of course towards the clients you deliver professional work, yeah. But internally, there is a tendency, if you don't have a strong focus in the teams or management, to cut corners, to be a little cheap sometimes on the way to do it, because you don't have the fees to cover for a lot of depth work in there. And what also happens then is that you race towards the bottom because you're in competition with other companies. And when you race towards the bottom in the fees, it's gonna get even more difficult. And then you sit with the problem of having to set juniors to do the work or do a lot of the work. You press them. Seniors, they correct, they go in. So their hours, the expensive hours, they are not like used to so much of the base work. But the problem is for recruitment in where you sit, Sara, is that this is people that knows this sector and people that get their nose into it. They know it's like this. Also the juniors.
Mm-hmm.
So to get good quality workers into your company and do this work, it's rough, because if you want to work a lot, if you want to sit at a desk, do analysis, write stuff, you can work for the commission. Don't pay that much tax either there and so on. You can do the concours and do that, for instance. Or you can find other kinds of policy analysis. What do I care? If you're in the Brussels ecosystem, where the payment salary levels are higher because there's much more money in it. So that's what you are looking at. It's my guess you look at this every single day when you try to make a strategy of how to get the nice people to apply for the jobs, because you need, and you need strong people. That's the problem for this sector. You cannot writing a proposal. It's extremely complex, and it's not just complex the proposal as a document. The different parts of it, and how things have to be done, but it's also the intellectual layers of understanding technologies or processes, sometimes things that are very, very, sometimes you have to sit and study like a student when you're doing this. So that paired with what I had a long intro here about, the conditions of a sector, it makes it a quite difficult job from that's what I would expect in your chair. Now, I've been talking a lot, so this is my analysis based on my thoughts and analysis about how difficult it is to attract and recruit people in the sector. And this is also why I noticed the job dating concept that you made.
Mm-hmm.
So we will get back to that. But now I talked a lot. It's your turn, Sara. How do you find my analysis? Am I wrong, or am I off or is it too dark, shaded, or tell me?
Okay. I do agree that it's hard to find the right people, not only in the consulting sector, not only for grants. I think in general that the recruitment market has changed in general, really. The time where people just applied on a vacancy and you had like 10 people where you can choose from, and you could choose the three best, and then still you had a lot of good candidates, but also much less efforts you needed to put in finding the right people for the right vacancy. This market completely changed in the last years. I'm in recruitment now since a bit more than 10 years. I've seen this market really shifting. It has always been difficult, but it became really more difficult in the last years to really find the right people at the right place. So I fully agree with you there, Niels. Next to that, the profile of a consultant what we need in terms of competencies and skills is also very complex, let's say, or not easy to find. Like you said, they need to understand the sector, the business. They need to be able to write nice technical, correct reports, do analysis, but also be commercial and to show the client the added value of
business development.
Yes, this business development, but also showing this added value to the client to show them why they should continue or why the work that they have done is so important, to really show them the added value of working with Ayming in this case. So it really combines a lot of skills, competencies, soft skills that are not easy to find. So I fully agree there that it's not easy to find the right person at the right place.
And third thing that that I learned when I entered the sector is implementation, because you also to cover your salary, step into proposals. Mm-hmm. So you get into projects where you do something in the projects that you wrote, help writing. So you also need to do that work parallel with the other. So it's you are a juggler.
Yeah,
and those are other capacities than pure business development or writing the proposal implementation. It's carrying things out that requires organizational talent.
And true. It's really project management, true, because they have mostly multiple projects at the same time, but it's not simultaneously the same. So indeed, it asks for some time management, project management, and organizational skills to be able to respect all deadlines and to have all work done within those deadlines.
I have divided our talk here into it's three main categories. A short fly-in, that's what we've been doing now, and then we will talk a little bit about recruitment strategy to sort of paint the frame of Ayming. So how you work with this. Now we sort of set the scene, which everybody who is a private consultant, they sit and nod now, the ones that are listening to this, because they know exactly what we're talking about. So for all you from universities and so on, if you would like to work in the sector now, you get a glimpse into that and see how the world is that we are in, what we have to deal with now. So and then so we talk a little bit about the recruitment strategy, how you work with it at the baseline, and then we go into what motivated me to contact you, the job dating concept that you have, because I think it's a wonderful way of attacking it. But that's a nice teaser for you to listen on to the end. But that's going to be the main section of this episode. It's talking about how you develop that and how that's working and so on. But let's just attack the recruitment strategy. So now we set the baseline. So how do you, as a company, work with this with this human resource condition, so to say, this challenges or bottlenecks in terms of getting the right people on board? Have you an overall strategy, or have you? I guess the job dating concept would be part of it. But can you share a little bit with me and the listeners how you work with this challenge in Ayming?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, of course. As I've already mentioned, for me the market has really changed in terms of recruitment. So for me, because they always speak of the new way of working, for me it's also a new way of recruitment. And this is actually the approach that we have thought about, not only me, the whole group, and some great ideas has developed out of this way of thinking, this new way of recruitment. First one that I also truly believe in, not speaking about the job dating yet, is to show or to offer added value. And for me, this is via a referral. For example, happy employees also attract potential new happy employees. And I think an employee is the best ambassador to attract new and good talents without spending a lot of money, time, effort in finding the right talent. By having good ambassadors within the company, it already attracts good other people. So this is really this ambassadorship.
Yeah.
And this also helps to have this employer branding, testimonials, videos, to really, the main idea is really to show potential employees, but also the employees internally, what the added value is of working for Ayming in this case, because they're so, I won't say picky because it's their right to really be picky in which employer they want to work for, because they will have 5 propositions and it's on them to choose which one they choose. But for me, this added value of what we can give them in terms of development perspective, and also, let's say, possibilities within the company, I think this is very important to show in this employer branding story. Next to that, I also believe in, let's say, the smart hunting. So not like everybody focusing on LinkedIn and the hunting, which you need to do as a company. Of course, you need to be present on this channel, let's say. But besides that, you have such alternative ways to reach out to the right people. For example, we are working with a company that's really focusing on data-driven hunting. So they work with advertisements, which is really effective. It's pushing certain advertisements, but not only on LinkedIn, but also on other social media platforms. Think of TikTok, think of even Facebook and Instagram, everything. And this is also very, very successful in finding or attracting, let's say, the right people. And then, of course, last but not least, is this think outside of the box, and which is also linked to this added value story. And this was the job dating. That is an international concept developed by our global HR director. And this is a unique event, a recruitment event at an atypical location. So not just at the office or something company related. We have done it, for example, at the Atomium, at the Outer World. We did it on a boat once. So it's at a unique location. And during this event, we give the candidate the possibility to show who they really are, not just based on the CV. We really give them the possibility to show them who they are as a person and which competencies they have, but also for us as a company to show them what we can offer them as a company. They get to know their future colleague, which is, I think, key now in terms of feeling good at work, in what team will I end up, but also meet the manager, the director. There are some international guests also present. So this is a bit the idea of the job dating.
We will dig much more into the job dating element. So I'm not going to ask any follow-up questions to that right now, because we will get to that. But thanks. It's the funny thing is, after I left the EU R&D funding sector at all, I'm totally out. I have nothing to do. After working with it since 2008, I'm out of it. And I'm a very happy man. But what has happened is that I now sit and work in it's sort of it's a business region for 7 municipalities in Denmark. So it's an umbrella organization that support the 7 municipalities with political lobbying towards the Danish Parliament. But for the areas that we work with as an office is cross areas that all the 7 municipalities has an interest in, that we solve cross municipal border. So it's about recruitment, international labor towards the region. And this is where I sit. This is the team I'm in. I'm in education and labor. So I've started to know a little bit about like the words employer branding, like referral ambassadors, stuff like this. So I'm starting getting an understanding of how this how this
How
world
it
it
works.
works. Yeah. And what I see here is that you do good things. Because that's also referral. We've been working with that at my work to push for instance, Polish workers that had come to the region to you work with them to push back to Poland their old local environment to refer. Could you come and work for Siemens Wind Power or Lego or like those, we have some big companies in the region, so which makes it easier to attract. But using the referral, it's very effective. The employer branding, many of them are in the same situation in other sectors for other reasons than the grants consultancy. But the fact is that they're simply not hands enough to do electricians and like for the sustainable change. Sustainability, you have a lot of changes in energy sector and so on that needs to be, and you need people with knowledge and people that can work with that, do things with their hands. Smiths and electricians and welders and for the wind turbines, so on and so forth. So for them, they need to brand themselves because they are on a hunt, just like you. So what I can see here is what stands out. What I haven't seen before is the smart hunting. We did it a little bit in a EU funded project that we are involved in, where we have a company that is doing targeted sending job ads targeted to foreign markets in South America and in South Africa and Turkey and so on, where they know how to target the online, the SoMe with this. So I have heard a little bit about it, but it sounds a little bit like you're more sophisticated what you do. And then there's the job thing. So no, it looks like you're on the right. How is it going with the strategy now? You and you can choose how honest you want to be, but how is it? Is it balanced? Can you see that it does something?
Yeah, it really does something. Of course, it's still developing, like the employer branding story. It's not from one day until another that you develop an employer branding strategy. It's really step by step, of course, that you develop this.
That's a huge work.
Yeah, it's a huge work. It's really a lot. It's not that you make a few posts on LinkedIn and you have a nice employer branding strategy.
Videos, it's layout, it's graphic design, it's style, it's how do you want to present yourself. You make nice videos. What I've seen is nice.
Thank
on the
you.
right path. You're on the right path.
Thank you so much. That's nice to hear. But yeah, it's not from one day until another that it's like, okay, boom, and now it works. But we see, and this is super nice to see, that we're going in the right direction. And it's really affecting. And I can gain a lot of energy when people tell me, but I've heard about the job dating, or someone referred. Recently, we hired 2 people referred by someone within the company. And then I think, yes, this is how it should be, with happy employees attracting the right people. But yeah, Rome wasn't built in one day, and the recruitment strategy either.
Thanks. What I wanted to, before we move on to the job dating concept, I want to touch a little bit on the more on the softer parts. So work-life balance and the way you work, because any company will say, yeah, we have work-life balance. Yeah. But do you walk the so it's always about walking the talk, so to say. So it's a very difficult sector to have a work-life balance in. Is it something because you cannot, and that should be clear, yeah? This sector, there's sometimes where you cannot. It's you work till you throw up. Yeah, that's unfortunately how this sector is, because of the character of these proposals that has to be handed in. That's the roughness of the work. But do you work in some way of diffusing your employees, the ones that have it rough, because that's what I also put here in the rundown, the understanding from management side of the roughness that is in the consultants, the life they have with this work. Is there an understanding and an answer, so to say, from the management side to say, okay, we diffuse with, they will have a little bit more holidays than you would normally do, for instance. I don't know, but do you have anything like this?
First of all, I think, and maybe I'm just answering what most companies say, that work-life balance is quite okay at Ayming. Of course, we have, like you said, when there's a certain deadline, it needs to be done.
Yeah, you cannot. That's like it is.
Yeah, voilà. That it's a hard stop. It's a hard deadline for sure. But somehow we've managed not to have this extreme burnout, people with a super high workload at Ayming, especially, when I recruit people and I do pulse surveys each time, after 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, and then on a regular basis, since we're still quite small, I have the luck to be still quite close to the employees.
Yeah.
If they compare it with their former employer, they tell me that it's, in terms of work-life balance, much, much better. I heard stories of people working until 2, 3 in the morning just to have something finished, and this is really not the case at Ayming. Maybe it's the flexibility that we offer. Of course, we offer flexibility to be able to combine it with your private life. For example, me, I have 2 kids. I'm not able to do this. So I'm perfectly able, with the flexibility that they offer me at Ayming, to do what is expected from me in the end. And this is also, of course, applicable for our consultants. And for the rest, it's really, we're aware, of course, of the hard deadlines, and we have to work hard, but I think we also play hard, and we are able to manage this as a company, as a team, together.
Yeah. This is what is always, I guess, an important canary in the mine, in your position about all this. That's the level of personal, what do you call them in English, cases of burnout or outright depressions. So I guess if your frequency on that is low, you can never avoid it, because it's also a matter of where people are in their personal life. But if you have a high degree of that, then there's often something very, very wrong with the way that management deals with dividing labor, and the way that the business model maybe is working for the company. So if you are low on that, then it seems like you found some sort of way through.
Yeah, because I'm actually I am preparing for it, because I hear a lot of companies. I have read, or I have heard even that 25% of it increased with 25% compared to last year's the burnout and long-term illness, which was huge for me in Belgium. I think we should be prepared. And I'm also, focusing on it. For example, we're thinking of this deconnection manual, let's say, that we have to implement in Belgium, which I think is good, with the flexibility. It's also is a bit dangerous, because before it was you work from this hour until this hour, and afterwards you close your computer and it's done. But with the home office and flexibility, people have more difficulties to really close their working day. So this right to deconnect, let's say,
Corona was horrible.
Can help. Yes, it was horrible.
With this, for grants consultants, I was home which I was happy because I didn't have to drive and commute 4 hours per day. That helped, but I was sitting and staring into my computer instead. So I saw my family almost little as when I was commuting to Brussels, because that's what happens in this sector, because there's always something to do.
Yeah, for sure. Always. But this is also the case for me. There's always something new to do, to develop, but maybe it's also the awareness about it, and that we have to protect our people from it.
I think that's the most important thing. Really, the management attitude and awareness of it, and having being articulated about it. Yeah, it's to show that that the management is not just, they don't just say it, but they also show a heart behind that. They understand that things are difficult, and that it's not always that easy, but it's we're here, we have your back. And I think that's for me. I've had 2 near burnouts with your competitor, and and I know, and you also know, because you have some of them with you, that I don't have to say more, because it's a matter of being on good terms with my old employer. But you can imagine that what happened there was not very it was not very thought through at all. On the contrary, actually. And it's as when you're in the receiving end, and when you get away from it, you get angry. Are you also angry when you're there? But
I can imagine.
when you see what it has done to you, it's and to your personal life and to your psyche and so on, it's appalling that it's something that is being not taken serious. And that was it's when you've seen the dark side of it, then you can have a discussion with you like this. And this is why I think it's important in the podcast to address these things and to talk about them openly. And there might be some some colleagues that will be angry that I share how things, but that was just how it was. And I think it's important to share this with because I can reassure you that there are many companies where it's exactly the same way as what I've been through. Now, Sara, juniors are at my heart, and they are often at the very hard receiving end of rough work and tough conditions and so on. Do you? I'm just put it here because I care about them, and they are the future good grants consultants. And if you don't want to, the reason why why I put them, because if you scare them away, they will fly away from the sector. They will do something else. So do you do something in particular for the youngsters that come straight from university and the first job, so to say, or trainees or something like this? Do you have to do something?
Yeah, of course. Because we need them. Like you said, we need them, but they also need us, because we can bring a lot of added value and help them in their development in a lot of skills. Like you said, it's quite a complexity of skills that is needed for a consultant. And this is what we can bring, and they can bring us their competencies and skills. So it's a win-win. What do we bring for them? First of all, we bring them the possibility to get to know the job from A to Z. So at Ayming, it's not the case that you first need to do the shitty work, let's say, and then you can leave everything to the seniors, which is nice. But we offer them the possibility immediately to learn the job from A to Z. Of course, we won't throw them the first day in the water and just learn how to swim. But this is actually what differentiates us a lot with competitors, is that we give them the possibility to own or to manage, let's say, their own portfolio from A to Z. So they have the client contacts, they do the writing, they do the analysis. So this is really something that is really well received for those youngsters, let's say, because this way they have a fast growing curve.
Mm-hmm.
They get to know each and every aspect of the job, and this way they can also connect the dots and not just execute. There's more behind it. They understand why they do certain things. So this is what we can offer them, and this is also linked to the fact that what people want today in a job is personal development, but also professional development, and to have this perspective of what they can become. So I think this is a nice added value for the youngsters.
Yeah, good. Very well. Like that. No. So let's talk about the main thing. We've already covered like 30 minutes, something like this, but it's you don't just attack something like this, and I like to get well into the subject a little bit with the hands. So and we have the time to be geeky in this show. I don't have to look at too much at the time. If it's too long, I always break it into 2 parts, so don't worry.
Great.
And here I will do exactly that. I will be fading out of the first part of this double episode on recruiting in the grants consultancy business. Next week, I will release the second part of the recruiting double episode. Here we will dig into Ayming's job dating concept that inspired me to approach Sara in the first place. You can really look forward to that. See you then. The Grant. You have been listening to The Grant, the EU funding podcast.